Hello, how's it going? I think this must be attempt number 3 in trying to do this video now, because I realised when I did it the last couple of times I kept missing out on certain points that I felt were quite crucial. This one I'm going to label as your questions, because there's been a few and I thought rather than answering them on separate videos and things like that, it'd be good to just kind of compile everything. I've noticed over the last sort of month that, well, maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks to about 4 weeks, we've noticed different things have happened, and I feel this is not just going to be about questions, just things that I've noticed over the last month that have been a little bit sort of crucial now, I think. Okay, so let's get on with this then. So the first question I've got is, how much money did I pay? So I paid a total of £5,000. Now I went with International Hair Studio, and with that you got courses of laser, you got the transplant, you got minoxodil, you got saw palmetto. So those were what you pay. I think if you go direct to Hair Growth Centre, they'll give you one. You'll do the £2,000. Now I don't regret doing this because it means that I got to actually experience the laser therapy, which for me was massively helpful. So for me it was a good investment, so that then leads on to the second question: are International Hair Studio and Hair Growth Centre two different companies? Yes, they are, but the reason why we've done this is because why I labelled it as Hair Growth Centre, because they're the ones that actually did the surgery. So and it's important for you guys that I'm crystal clear about this and don't hide anything. How many grafts did I get? So 2,500 grafts were taken from the back of my head. So that was all in a sitting of about an hour and a half, I think. So I went there, they started the operation. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a thing on the actual sort of like the actual taking out of the grafts, I went there about 9, met with the surgeons and all the technicians that were going to be there or doing the job on the day. They basically explained everything. I went there, I shaved all my head, started the operation about 10, finished about 11:30. That's just taking out all the grafts. So did Dr Rafiq lead the surgery? So Dr Rafiq, I actually met him on the day. He was quite crystal clear about everything that I was going to go through, and he helped me pick where I was going to have my transplant. So just you're aware, I had my transplant here. So I'll just bring that down on the crown here, going on to the point why I chose the crown, but that's where I did it. So he was overseeing. I wouldn't say he wasn't there the whole time. They've got about several different rooms where I believe they're doing different operations. So they've got different rooms, so he wasn't there the whole time. The only time he actually took part in my operation was when he was designing my hairline. This is when after 11:30 they'd taken all the follicles out. He came in about sort of half an hour later. He came in, he designed my hairline, where all the follicles were going to go, and then he went again and I didn't see him. So I don't know if really leading the surgery is that an appropriate thing to say. Like, I mean, he was there, like he designed my hairline, he saw everything. I guess he would have seen, he saw it. So the next one was, were the technicians competent? Now this is quite a crucial question. The reason why is because these are the guys that are going to be dealing with mostly for your operation. So they've got 2 different people. You've got the doctor who designed your hairline, and you've got the technicians who come in and take the follicles out of your back of your head and put them in as well. So that's 3 separate parts, and 2 of them are done by technicians basically. Were they competent? Yes, they knew what they were doing. It was quite obvious when they were speaking. It was quite obvious that they knew what they were doing. I would say that, you know, it was yeah, I mean, for the money you pay, you know, you this is what you get the technicians, you get the doctor. You know, I wouldn't say that they were incompetent. I would just say, and then, you know, I could tell he was trying to do the best job that he could. But bear in mind that you don't know how much experience these guys have got, which is why I'm not giving any opinions on anything until the full 12 months is done, because I want to see how everything progresses. Is why I'm not giving any opinions. I'm just giving you my experience right now, no opinions as such. Like, you know, did I think they did a good job? Did I think they did a bad job? I just, you know, it's just, I'm giving you my experience as it's going along, because we are only 4 and a bit months after the surgery, and, you know, I can only go by as we're going time wise. So another question I got was, why didn't I get the front hairline done? Now, okay, so this, obviously you can see I do have some bald patches here. If you have a look back through like how it was a few months ago, I mean, can you see now, guys, my hair is sort of like growing in such a fashion that it's going to cover all that anyway. Now, that's how I used to have my hair. I always wear my hair quite long. So for me, I'm going to have all that bit covered up. And we were doing things such as like laser therapy, which was helping massively in that, which we'll go in more in depth in this video about that. But that's why, and also I've heard things about such as things like mega sessions, you know. Now you think about your donor hair, you've got a limited supply. Why, you know, you spread out the 2 sessions, because there are some companies that do this, but I think a lot of them don't, and they do them over 2 surgeries, you know. I think if you are a little bit older, you may be, you just, maybe then, I've heard stories about them doing them over the course of 2 surgeries as opposed to 1 big mega session one. And also consider the fact that, you know, you may lose more hair down the line, you may want to go in for another transplant. So for me, I had most of my hair loss at the top of my head, and this is why I decided to do the crown, because as you can see now, it's starting to go in such a way that you're not going to even notice it. So for me, getting the temples done was not really a priority. So you know, we're just waiting to see how the crown's going to all fill up now, and on that point I'm quite satisfied with the growth that we're getting up there now. You know, just kind of it is definitely going, you know. See if I can just like bring it down a little bit. So it is going, you know, and I'm getting a load of compliments from people saying, you know, your hair's looking good. So I can't ask for any more right now, you know. Another question, did I get any spots? So yes, if you're in your first sort of like month, 2 months, 3 months, even now, guys, still getting spots. I touch the top of my head, I can feel them, it's a bit sore. Do not pop them, because the chances are they are ingrown hairs. So by that, what I mean is follicles, where they've kind of put them in, they're just trying to find a way of kind of breaking out the skin, so that's why you get those follicles in it. And I mean, that's a good sign, because it means you've still got growth to go. So yeah, I mean, I had like a spot up here. I think it's still slightly there, but like I had a spot there. Yeah, just like it's you know, I'm just waiting for it to kind of go on its own. You know, I was watching a video of a guy who had some like a big spot here, and then he said he like squeezed it, and then came out, and then he said he had like he thought was a potential follicle. So lesson learned for him. But yeah, for me, I haven't done any squeezing of the spots or anything like that. I've just kind of let them do their own thing. And you should too as well, by the way. Don't worry about all that. Just bearing in mind, this comes down to patience, and I cannot like make this point any clearer. Patience. You've got to have patience. Just forget about it. Let it do its thing. Look at it again in about 4 months, or even like 6 months, because at that point, on the sheet, if you've gone into the hair growth center as well and you've done this, you would see on the sheet it says at 6 months you get your 40 to 50% results. So just bear that in mind. Just patience. It's got to be done. And that's what I'm keep bearing that in mind. I'm just trying not to take pictures every single day, because it is very tempting, I must admit. I am in the same boat here. I do get it. It's just like you want it to go now, but it's just how it has to go. You won't get your full results for 12 months. That's a long time to wait, but and even after them 18 months you can go on to, so just give that a little bit of a time. Now, I've had a few comments also about the donor hair, how it's looking a bit patchy and things like that. So yes, I am aware that this is a thing called overharvesting. So I've noticed along the time, now this is when I first saw it, I had this patch at the back of my hair, and that really it was traumatic, because you never go through that kind of thing. And this again comes down to the skill of the surgeons, which is why I don't really want to give any opinions on this right now, because I'm aware that my hair has basically at the back there got donor hair effluvium at the moment. I've covered this point several times in previous videos. That is where your hairs will thin out as a result of trauma, because if you think about where they're coming in, they're taking the follicles out the back of the head, there's going to be some element of trauma there, and as a result, because your blood supply is getting cut out there, that rest of the hairs will kind of like thin out over time. And I've heard that can, even like 3 weeks after like the operation, I think, or was it like 3 months or something like that, there's still an element that you could, you've got that trauma there, and you've just got to wait for the hairs to thicken back up. And I'm noticing, there is like when I wake up sometimes, I've noticed that my hair just sort of like flips around, and it's just kind of like, it might look a bit patchy in certain times, but then when I kind of rough it up a bit, it's just like it seems to sort itself out. And I'm noticing that this just seems to be getting better. And this is why I don't want to give any opinions about this, because I've read up on, and actually I'm going to post a picture of something I found on one of those forums, because it gave me reassurance, and that was the time. Like I was just like, reevaluate in 6 months. It's only been 4.5. And even then we need to sort of maybe reevaluate in a month after that, so 7-8 months, just see how it goes really, because for all I know, because of the style I have my hair, for all I know, I could just wear it long and you're not gonna see anything. At the end of the day, your hair will look considerably thinner around the areas that they took it out of. Just, is there an element of overharvesting? We don't know. We cannot come to those decisions until at least 6 months after the operation, and then, depending on how you wear your hair, it may bother you, it may not, so at the moment this isn't really bothering me too much, but it's still like, I'm still like, keeping tabs on it just to see how it is. Depends on the individual you are at the end of the day. So yeah, don't make any informed decisions that you've been overharvested and complain and all that kind of stuff. Don't do it just yet. Just hold off for a few months and see how your hair progresses. And that goes for the top as well, by the way. You've got to just wait it out and just see how it is, and just keep them cool at the moment, because at first I was like really riled up about stuff, and like it's just, you don't expect it, because when you go in for a transplant for the first time, you don't expect it. And this is why you need to consider how the money that you're paying, and this is another point as well, like, would I go in for another surgery at the hair growth center? And the honest answer to that question is probably not, because the next thing that we're going to do is probably design the front of hairline. You know, this may happen at some point in the future where we decide that we want to design our hairline. I want the same doctor to do that operation. For the crown, that wasn't as bad, because obviously that's just, you know, you're not really seeing this. The front is where people are seeing you for, you know, the first time. So, or this is the first thing they'll see. So that is quite crucial in my opinion. So this is why I'm going to probably save up and wait a few years. I mean, and also think about how technology is advancing. In that time, we could have things like hair cloning and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a dream for that kind of thing, and we don't know how far realistically we're off on that. But it could happen, you know. And by then, you know, that would be, you'd only have to get like a few follicles rather than big sessions, and then they can just clone it in the lab, which would be quite cool, I think. Next thing I want to talk about, the laser therapy. So this is the first time, now this is the thing I was saying about like the last sort of like few weeks, the laser therapy. I've noticed it not being as effective now. You know, I've noticed that little bits of my hair have started to fall out as like it was before, but it's not that bad. So maybe the laser is still doing something, but I've noticed it's not as effective as that first time. Again, don't shoot the messenger, because this is the first time I've noticed this, you know. And I think in terms of like the healing, it's still good for the skin, like to get that on there to help you with the healing. So I think that can only really be a good thing. And also the PRP injections, we were doing those as well, that they offer at the surgery. So we've done all of them now, all to do with the healing. I think, you know, it's making a difference. Generally, when you tend to think things, I've noticed that it seems to be a little bit accurate, especially when it comes to things in your own body. If you notice that you're thinking that, you know, for instance, if you think that you're losing a bit of weight, chances are that you probably are. And I've noticed that, like, I think that it's definitely made a difference. This front bit here, 100%, that's a lot fuller than it was. But when I did the first time, it was a bit better on this area here. So I think it's done something, but I think it's not been as effective this time. And I think that's due to the fact that probably my body has gotten used to the lasers now, and because the hormone is still attacking my hair, I think we may need to find some other treatment now, but we will see. So that brings me on to my next point, which is Finestride, minoxodil, and other possible future treatments. So Finestride is something that I have looked into, and is something that, you know, I said before that I wasn't going to be using it, you know, but we are thinking about this. I just want to see how my hair progresses, and, you know, if I get to a point where I feel that we could start doing this, maybe we'll start doing it, but we're going to do it on a smaller dose. Again, still doing research on this. I want to make sure 100% that this is something that we will want to do for the long term, you know. On the bright side, we don't have to pay the money for 4 months more of laser, because it's around about £700 to do that. And, you know, paying that every sort of 4 months, you know, may not be the best thing for you, you know, financially, really. Minoxidil, I've heard, is another treatment as well. In fact, we were doing this at the start, back in October 2019, but it became so, like, having to remember to get the pipette, put it on your head, all the kind of, it just seemed like and then I didn't remember to do it every single day, you know. So I think predominantly it was the laser that was helping me, but minoxidil could have had some effect, but I wasn't using it every day, so it was more than likely it was the laser. The last point I have is the changing of the shampoo. So up till last week, we were literally doing the using Johnson's baby shampoo, and then now we've moved to this Weller Elements shampoo, which is like industrial size here. So yeah, like you know, we are pretty much, like we say, living our lives like normal. Soon enough, all this is gonna go like that because I wear my hair long. You know, you're not gonna really notice those patches, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this is gonna turn out in the next few months. I'm fairly satisfied at the moment, guys. I've got no real rooms to sort of complain at the moment. I've got literally another 2 or so months to go before, you know, we can start really thinking about like how the actual operation was. Is it a success or not? So I'm just biding my time, and I'm just seeing how it goes. And honestly, you should too. And literally just forget about it. Let it do its thing. You know, let it see how it's going to go. Then, if you've got some complaints, you know, and all that kind of stuff, then maybe think about doing something. But give it at least 6 months. You know, you've got to really, because that is literally, it's hair. At the end of the day, it grows at its own pace. And also, if you're noticing that your hairs are falling out on your transplant area, the shedding that I experienced was all gone like after the first month. But then your hairs come back and they grow better and they mature, which is why also the back of the head, that needs to happen as well. The hairs need to just mature, and that's what we need to wait for. So that's pretty much covered every single point I think I had, and other, you know, other areas that I thought I could bring up in this video. I normally do my updates around about the 8th of every single month, because that's when I did my transplant, 8th of April. So we've got another couple of weeks, I think, because today is technically the 24th. So we've got another couple of weeks. But thank you for everyone that subscribed, and thank you for everyone that asked the questions. If I find there's more questions, I'm going to literally just stick them all in a video like this again, because I think it'll be useful for other people to know this kind of thing. So take care, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.